Welcome to the official channel of Prosper Anang Ministries. Step into a powerful journey of faith, inspiration, and spiritual growth with Pastor Prosper, a privileged servant of Jesus. As the lead pastor of the New Testament Gospel Church in Benin City, Nigeria, Pastor Prosper is on a global mission to transform lives. He is an author, writer, fluently sharing God's Word, deep, life-changing insights right to your screen. If you are seeking spiritual guidance, a vibrant faith with God, you are in the right place.
Imagine pulling up to a construction site in the middle of a major city like London or New York. Your objective is to build a 100-story skyscraper. You step out of your vehicle, you are absolutely buzzing with immense emotional enthusiasm, and, well, you have all the passion in the world to get this tower soaring into the sky.
Right.
But there is a massive problem. You have absolutely no architectural blueprints in your hands.
Yeah, that is a recipe for an absolute disaster. I mean, all the passion and excitement in the world will not keep that building from collapsing the moment the first strong wind blows.
Exactly.
Without a blueprint, the foundation is fundamentally compromised from day one. Enthusiasm simply cannot replace structural integrity.
And, that is exactly what we are unpacking today. We are taking a deep dive into today's Word for You devotional by Pastor Prosper Anang. Our mission for this deep dive: to extract the architectural blueprints for taking over new territories.
Yes, which is incredibly practical.
Yeah, whether you are transitioning to a new geographical city, stepping into a much higher corporate role, or even entering an entirely new economic tax bracket, we want to ensure your enthusiasm does not end in structural collapse.
Which is the core problem Pastor Prosper Anang addresses in this text. I see so many sincere, well-meaning professionals struggle with this exact issue. They attempt to occupy new, high-stakes spaces through pure emotional excitement.
Right, just relying on zeal.
Exactly. They rely on zeal, but they completely ignore systematic protocol.
I mean, they have the passion, but they lack the architecture. And the devotional points out something fascinating about why that approach always fails. Every single space you enter, whether it is a new boardroom or a new neighborhood, already has pre-existing atmospheric alignments. There are established cultures, entrenched gatekeepers, and historical ways of doing things that have been operating there for decades.
Right, and if we break down a phrase like atmospheric alignment, we are really talking about the invisible rules of engagement that govern a space. Think of a highly competitive sales floor.
Okay.
If you walk into that domain completely blind to its pre-existing culture, relying only on your good intentions, well, you will inadvertently just absorb and submit to its current climate. You become a product of the environment rather than a master of it.
Wow. So dominion is never an accident. You don't just stumble into authority. It is a calculated, legally backed structural invasion.
Yes, it is.
And Pastor Prosper Anang anchors this entire operational blueprint in an ancient text. He looks at the Abrahamic migratory protocol found in Genesis chapter 12, verses 7 and 8.
Yes, because when Abraham moved into new territory, he didn't just wander aimlessly, hoping the local inhabitants would politely make way for him. The text outlines a very specific, calculated sequence.
There's a structure to it.
Exactly. There is a clear structural relationship between three distinct actions. First, he mapped the terrain. Second, he pitched a natural tent. And third, he built a spiritual altar.
Let's translate that for a second, because, the idea of building an altar can sound a bit abstract for a modern professional. The text mentions that this act alters the spiritual ledger of the domain.
Right.
In plain English, a spiritual ledger is essentially the invisible record of who holds legal authority over a space.
Precisely. By erecting altars at strategic coordinates, Abraham was invalidating the ancient rights of whatever belief systems previously governed that land.
Oh, wow.
He was fundamentally registering his own title deed in the spirit realm. Building the altar is what puts your name on the deed. It is a legal transaction that establishes jurisdiction.
Makes total sense.
So you map the land to understand it, you pitch your tent to physically occupy it, and you build the altar to legally govern it.
Okay, so we have established that Abraham sets the spiritual boundaries and changes the ledger. But how do those ancient blueprints hold up when you are trying to navigate a complex, modern environment?
That's the big question.
Right. I mean, if Abraham demands an altar, how do we gather the intelligence needed to enforce those boundaries?
Well, this takes us directly into the military and environmental intelligence strategy of Moses, specifically found in Numbers chapter 13. This is the scriptural anchor for what the text refers to as the law of the survey.
I want to push back on this for a second, just to play devil's advocate. Isn't faith supposed to be enough?
I hear that all the time.
Like, if someone believes they're meant to take over a new corporate role or enter a new market, why do they need to conduct a massive data-driven survey? Doesn't demanding a data report sound like a lack of faith?
That is exactly where many modern professionals get stuck. They assume faith is a substitute for facts.
Right.
But what is fascinating here is that Moses was absolutely not asking for a spiritualized confession. He wasn't telling the leaders of Israel to just look at the land, close their eyes, and blindly declare that it was theirs. He demanded a granular, highly analytical intelligence report.
He essentially asked them to conduct a 15th century BC SWOT analysis.
He absolutely did. Moses told them to observe the human resources, are the people strong or weak? He told them to assess the physical infrastructure. Are they living in temporary tents or fortified strongholds?
Right.
He wanted a full analysis of the economic viability and agricultural health of the terrain.
Which fundamentally changes the perspective.
Yeah.
It means faith isn't an excuse for ignorance. It is actually a mandate for intelligence. Faith requires data to know where and how to apply its force.
That is the spiritual law of territorial occupation.
Yeah.
You simply cannot successfully possess or govern a domain that you refuse to analytically understand. If you refuse to understand the mechanics of your industry, you cannot govern that industry.
Now, if you are listening to this as part of a study group or a master class, I want you to deliberately pause what you are doing. If you are taking notes, underline this next segment, because we need to read a definitive masterpiece, quote, verbatim, directly from our source material.
It's an incredible statement.
It really is. This is from today's Word for You devotional by Pastor Prosper Anang. Quote, "Dominion does not yield to emotional excitement. It bows to systematic protocol. You must outmap the hidden architectures of your industry and anchor your career to an altar that darkness cannot outlegislate." End quote. From Pastor Prosper Anang.
Let's really take time to unpack the mechanics of that phrasing. Outmap the hidden architectures of your industry.
Yeah, that's heavy.
It implies that every corporate framework, every financial market, and every local government council has invisible engines driving its visible behaviors.
And think about what happens when you fail to map those hidden architectures. You end up fighting the completely wrong workplace battles.
Absolutely.
You might enter a new job and think your biggest issue is a stubborn line manager who keeps rejecting your proposals. So you spend all your energy trying to win over this one manager.
But if you had mapped the environment, you might realize the real architecture you were dealing with is an historical stronghold of inefficiency, or a systemic culture of risk aversion that has been entrenched in that department for 20 years.
Exactly. The manager is just a symptom of the architecture. True strategic mapping is discerning those invisible engines.
Right.
And when you do that, you are able to tailor both your professional output and your strategic decisions with laser-like precision.
Yeah.
You aren't just swinging wildly in the dark. You are identifying the exact load-bearing walls of the opposition in your sector.
And looking at the second half of that, quote, anchor your career to an altar that darkness cannot outlegislate, that is highly legal vocabulary.
It is.
It suggests you are establishing a higher claim over your career progression that overrides whatever corrupt or inefficient systems are already in place.
Because you have followed the systematic protocol. You haven't just relied on a burst of weekend enthusiasm. You have engaged the architectural realities of your space to legally displace the dysfunction.
Which bridges perfectly into Monday morning reality. Because one of the most brilliant aspects of the text is how it translates this deep theology into a highly practical corporate blueprint.
Right.
It provides a 4-step, sequential operational checklist for taking over your professional territory.
Let's get into it.
Step 1 on this checklist is executing granular environmental intelligence.
Which goes right back to the data-driven approach of Moses.
Yeah.
When you start a new job or enter a new market, your initial days must be spent observing, listening, and analyzing. You have to figure out how decisions are genuinely made within that organization.
And this requires discerning the difference between formal and informal power structures.
Well, that's a big one.
Yeah, the formal power structure is the organizational chart, who reports to whom. But the informal power network is who actually has the CEO's ear.
Right.
Sometimes the most influential person in a department isn't the vice president. It is an executive assistant who has been there for 15 years. Gathering environmental intelligence means mapping those informal networks.
Once you have that intelligence, you move to step 2, which the author calls establishing a natural base through technical superiority. It makes me think of a computer system.
Okay, how so?
If your professional environment is a computer, your technical superiority, meaning your ability to produce error-free reports, your skill at optimizing workflows, your transparent financial integrity, all of that is the hardware. Is the indispensable natural platform that sustains your spiritual weight.
That is a brilliant analogy, because if your hardware is faulty-like, if you are constantly late to meetings, making careless computational errors, or cutting corners on client deliverables, you simply cannot support the heavy spiritual applications you want to run.
Exactly.
Your technical superiority is what proves you are indispensable to the organization.
And that natural base leads directly into step 3, which is erecting the righteous altar of consistency. If your technical excellence is the hardware, this altar is the spiritual software that powers it.
And we need to be clear about what that software looks like on a random Tuesday in the office. It means arriving early to deliberately and quietly dedicate your physical workspace. It means saturating your strategic corporate plans in prayer before you ever present them to the board.
Yeah.
But most crucially, it means fueling that altar daily through uncompromised moral character.
It is the integrity of not fudging an expense report when everyone else does. It is giving proper credit to a junior colleague for their idea instead of stealing it for your own promotion. An altar isn't just a place of prayer. It is a dedicated point of consistent ethical transaction.
Which brings us to the mechanism of step 4, legal displacement. This is where the new kingdom order is actually legislated in your environment.
But what does that actually look like legally and spiritually in a corporate setting? I mean, how does a believer actually displace a corrupt gatekeeper?
It is a matter of outcompeting corrupt systems through undeniable value. Once your mapping is accurate from step 1, your competence is proven in step 2, and your altar of character is burning with consistency in step 3, you possess both natural leverage and spiritual authority.
Ah, I see.
The corrupt gatekeepers who previously controlled that sector simply cannot compete with your output or your integrity. They are legally displaced, both in the spirit realm and eventually on the corporate ladder.
Which manifests naturally as promotions. It gives you the authority to rewrite corporate policies, to reflect fairness, and to allocate your new financial resources toward better initiatives. You are literally establishing dominion over your brand new territory.
Exactly.
Now, to help bridge the gap between spiritual authority and professional indispensability, the devotional provides 3 Speak Life personalized declarations.
These are vital tools because they aren't just positive affirmations, they are strategic positioning. Speak Life 1 focuses on your entry. You declare yourself an advanced spiritual surveyor. You are verbally pitching your tent in technical excellence and declaring that your righteous altar alters the spiritual ledger of your entire industry.
It is setting the intention before you even boot up your computer. And Speak Life 2 is all about intelligence. You declare that you operate with high-level environmental intelligence and divine insight. You declare that you accurately discern the hidden infrastructure of your marketplace.
Which is critical because it shifts your entire posture. You transition from just complaining about a toxic workplace in the break room to actually deploying solutions with laser-like precision.
Yeah, that's a massive shift.
You cease being a victim of your environment and become the surveyor of it.
And finally, Speak Life 3. You declare that your professional output is backed by supernatural competence and absolute integrity. What Pastor Prosper Anang is driving at here is that by declaring this, you are bridging the gap. You are speaking into existence that your consistent character serves as a burning altar, establishing influence over your sector.
These declarations perfectly marry the highest level of spiritual warfare with the most grounded level of professional ethics. They're completely inseparable in this protocol.
Now, as we move into the final segment of our deep dive today, the source material doesn't just leave us with a corporate checklist. It culminates in a tremendously powerful moment of prophetic intercession.
We must frame the weight of this final decree properly. This is strictly Pastor Prosper Anang's direct, prophetic and heartfelt priestly declaration prayer over his global audience.
Right.
He is legislating on behalf of the thousands of individuals tuning in across the nations of the earth on YouTube and through his global platforms.
It's referred to as an apostolic legislative decree. But let's translate that phrase for a second, because to someone outside a theological circle, that sounds intensely formal. What is the actual mechanism here? How does a pastor making a decree on a broadcast practically alter the ledger of my office in a different country?
It operates on the principle of spiritual jurisdiction. Think of a judge striking a gavel in a courtroom. The words spoken carry the weight of the law behind them.
Okay. Yeah.
Pastor Prosper Anang is stepping into his authorized jurisdiction as an oversight leader to issue judicial decrees. He is legally commanding the spirit of structural blindness and administrative confusion over your career to break.
He is using that decree to command the natural and spiritual infrastructure of your new assignment to yield to your authority. It is a profound legal shift in the spirit realm that clears the runway for your natural efforts.
Absolutely. He activates the Abrahamic mantle of territorial occupation upon the listener. He decrees that you will go forth and erect altars of unshakable consistency and flawless technical competence that the powers of darkness simply cannot withstand.
Wow.
He is legally displacing incompetent gatekeepers from their seats to make way for your advancement.
It is a mandate to take territory systematically. Now, before we wrap up, we want to issue a final reminder that the foundational material that made this entire masterclass possible, the source of this profound revelation, is today's Word for You devotional by Pastor Prosper Anang.
And now it is time to move from listening to active, rigorous discussion.
Exactly. We are seamlessly transitioning this audio from a broadcast into your active group study tool. I'm going to provide you with 3 highly targeted, thought-provoking discussion prompts based on the devotional's further jurisdictional study scriptures. I want you to present these to your small groups, your cell groups, or your classrooms right now.
Get ready to write these down.
Prompt number 1 is based on Joshua chapter 1, verse 3. Discuss this together. How does treading the sole of your foot translate into practical action when mapping the formal and informal power structures of your current workplace or industry this week?
That prompt demands a practical operational strategy. What does your footprint actually look like when you navigate office dynamics tomorrow?
Prompt number 2 is based on Exodus chapter 18, verse 21. Ask yourselves, in what specific areas of your career do you need to establish a stronger natural base through technical superiority so that you could be recognized as the able person of truth described in this text?
This is a diagnostic question. It forces you to evaluate the hardware of your professional life. Where are the bugs in your system? Where do you need to optimize your workflows or upgrade your technical skills?
And prompt number 3, building on the entire text we have unpacked today. What are the hidden architectures or historical strongholds of inefficiency in your specific sector that you need divine intelligence to outmap? And how will you erect an altar of consistency there starting tomorrow morning?
Connecting these dots is what transforms this entire teaching from a theoretical theological exercise into a real-world Monday morning takeover strategy.
So as you gather to discuss these prompts, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We talked at the beginning about the danger of showing up to build a skyscraper with immense enthusiasm, but no blueprints. Consider the hardest, most frustrating professional environment you have ever worked in.
I'm sure we all have one in mind.
Right. Was it really just a fundamentally bad company culture, or was it a territory you tried to occupy with enthusiasm instead of protocol? What if the friction you're experiencing in your career right now isn't a sign that you should quit, but an invitation to finally build your altar?
That changes how you view every single obstacle.
Take the time to execute the protocol. Keep mapping the terrain, keep upgrading your hardware, and keep fueling your altar. We will catch you on the next deep dive.